You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Stuart Skinner allowed 2 goals on 2 shootout attempts. That never happens. That's brutal. What was that? Oh, it happened 11 days ago in the NHL. Let's get into it with the lead. Always a calm day when the Oilers lose a hockey game, albeit in a shootout. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day. The show is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Borgie's bankroll was hot yesterday. He's the only hot gambler in the city of Edmonton after the Oilers lose in a shootout. The show comes to you live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online, sportscloset.ca. And actually, forget the game last night. Liam, we are beginning today's show with a little bit of breaking news. Multiple insiders now reporting that Brandon Saad is on his way to the Vegas Golden Knights. Here's my first takeaway. When you have an insider in Frank Saravalli who nailed the Mikko Rantanen deal before anyone, nailed last night's Flames trade before anyone, when he goes on his shows for 2 days and says Brandon Saad to the Golden Knights would certainly make a lot of sense, maybe you read between the lines a little bit and go, Frank might know something that we all don't. But Brandon Saad is reportedly going to the Vegas Golden Knights. It is 1 year, believed to be $1.5 million prorated. So he had just had his contract terminated 2 minutes ago and is now signing with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Tampering or what?
Makes you think. Also, the Islanders are claiming Boquist from Florida.
Well, they probably needed the help. Pretty clear Brandon Saad actually doesn't want to win a third Stanley Cup. But I think, too, when you look at those teams that Frank put out there, what was it, New Jersey, Toronto, Vegas, and Tampa Bay?
Yeah.
They all significantly need more forward help than the Oilers do. And Saad would have been an awesome addition like we spoke about yesterday. Like, you look at the team, he's an upgrade over quite a few guys on that left side. But it is what it is. It's too bad.
Yeah, that's kind of where I come out. And it was kind of my point yesterday, too, is like, as much as we're sitting here, and the Stan Bowman connection was certainly there with the Edmonton Oilers, and Brandon Saad may have wanted to come here initially. He might have been like, hey, I'd love to go try win a Stanley Cup in Edmonton, reunite with Bowman, all of that stuff. He can look at other reclamation projects in Edmonton and be like, whoa, that really worked. We also did talk about the fact he walked away from $5.4 million, right? And it was like, okay, is he obviously doesn't care about the money, like he wants to win.
Yeah.
But then there is a part of it that's like, you do want to build up your value. He's going to be a free agent. It's not like he's 38 or 39 like Corey Perry. He's 32. The idea that he could get himself another contract or two in the NHL is actually very, very realistic. So with Saad, you sit there and you look at this Oilers forward group and you go, okay, let's say the first week of my season or of my run with the Oilers doesn't go well. First 10 games, if you want to go that far. Am I out of the lineup with no hope of getting back in?
Yeah.
How do I break in on that left side? Because Draisaitl loves playing with Podkolzin, and they have Jeff Skinner. They have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Like, there's pieces there. Versus when you go look at a depth chart in Vegas, Barbashev, Victor Olofsson, who I think is on like a 1-year deal in Vegas.
11 goals this season.
Yeah. Raph Lavoie's on their third line right now. Tanner Pearson's on their fourth line right now. Like, Brandon Saad sits there and goes, oh, I can very easily take a spot away from a guy like Victor Olofsson and push him down the lineup. And I mean, who knows? Maybe you're getting power play time. Like, Pavel Dorofeyev's fine. He's playing on their power play unit right now. Like, the idea that Brandon Saad's going to get first or second unit minutes on the Vegas Golden Knights, like, again, would have liked him to be an Oiler. I would not have been against him being an Edmonton Oiler, especially at $1.5 million prorated. That's a really, really nice piece of work by the Vegas Golden Knights. But I'm not sitting here, and as that news comes down the pipe, and again, we're reacting to it live, I'm not overly upset that the Oilers didn't get Brandon Saad, and I just think it makes a ton of sense that he chose the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah, I think the one thing that now kind of sucks about it is you are going to lose an asset if you want to spend on that spot, right? Like, I know Saad was only going to cost you money, like, and wherever he would have fell in the lineup, third, fourth line, whatever it would have been, like, it's going to be a little cost, like mid-round pick, but yeah, there's another grenade, what do you call it? Bullet in the chamber you've lost, I guess you could say, but
I guess
not losing sleep over it. There was another, well, I guess we'll get into it. What did you make of John Klingberg yesterday?
I thought he was perfectly average.
That's kind of what I thought.
Like, did you notice a glaring mistake? There was one play in the first period where I kind of like laughed, and I'm like, there's a guy that hasn't played it, but I forget. I think it was just like a pass he threw into someone's gates, and I was like, that's a guy who hasn't played an NHL game in 14 months. But for the most part, he was fine. He was fine. And am I sitting here going, woo, we got an answer? No, I'm not going that far. Am I sitting here saying, oh boy, this is Toronto John Klingberg? No, I'm not saying that. One game, check, got his feet under him. I'll call it a win simply because it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, I would agree. I think he was perfectly fine. If you look at his numbers across the board, he was pretty average everywhere. Like, I feel like if he was maybe...
They played him a ton, hey? 16-31 at 5-on-5.
Third most by defenseman behind Ekholm and Nurse, I believe.
Yeah, fourth on the Oilers behind those two and McDavid.
Yeah, like Bouchard was right behind him too, on like 30 seconds.
8
less.
seconds back.
8 seconds less. Okay. The first goal against is not his fault, but I feel like if he was more up to speed, he maybe would have boxed out Rasmussen better, or just boxed him out in general. He didn't do anything, but overall, like, I don't think you can be too disappointed with what you saw yesterday. Was he better than Troy Stecher would have been? Probably about the same.
Yeah. Klingberg shot attempts 18-15 in favor of Detroit in the 16-31 that he played. Goals were 1-0 for Detroit. Shots were 9-8. Started 55% of his shifts in the offensive zone. Actually, 80% of his offensive zone shift starts. So, they played him a decent amount. I like that. Give him a chance to get his legs from under him. And as Lance says in the YouTube chat, hey, we will take average. Let's get into a couple more of your takes over in the YouTube chat, brought to you by our friends at Odd Company Brewing and the all-new Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. This weekend, if you're looking for plans, first off, it's going to be snowy as all heck.
Mm-hmm. Lance is free.
Lance is free. He was DMing me, and I didn't reply to his DMs. I'm sorry, Lance. I have to call 2 Golden Bears games this weekend, Lance. If you want to hang out.
+1, because he's been asking if he could +1 to anything we're doing this weekend.
Come watch the Golden Bears either tonight or tomorrow down at Claire Drake Arena. Or, Lance, maybe you'll see me down at Odd Company.
There you go.
I got to do some errands on the south side tomorrow. Odd Company, right there in that Ritchie neighborhood. I might slide in, grab a pizza, grab a crisp Nation beer on tap. Why not? What do we got going on in the chat? Based Ivy says, I still think we need another big, strong, defensive, right-handed D option for the playoffs. For the series, puck-moving skating isn't as needed. Ship out Stecher. I think Stecher becomes your number 8, but I agree with you. They will add another defenseman before the playoffs. It might be Brian Dumoulin, 50% retained for a 4th-round pick. It might be a high ad. I don't know. That'll depend on how Troy Stecher looks, but I think they will add another piece of depth there. We got one question, a cap-related question from Travis, who says, how can Vegas afford Saad with negative $1 million in cap space? So Saad's going to come in $1.5 million prorated, right? So he's going to be a very, very cheap cap hit. Vegas has 12 other forwards on their roster right now. All they're going to need to do is waive Raphael Lavoie, and they'll be able to fit him in. Yeah. Simple as that.
Raphael Lavoie on waivers again. Will he get through? Would the others claim him back?
No.
I wonder if they would.
But
I mean, why not?
But then you'd have to put him on. I guess you're an LTIR, so you could put him on the roster for like a week or two and then put him down.
That's right. You couldn't just send him right down.
Yeah, you'd have to do something.
No, they won't. Then.
Couple takes on the game last night that we'll get to in a little bit. Let's wrap up the Brandon Saad conversation here. Lance says, Saad about Saad, it is what it is. All right, yeah, sure. Again, not worried. It's okay. We'll go get Brandon happy from McHigh and Dry. Rusty says, Saad to the Knights doesn't move the needle for me. I'm still not scared of them. Yeah, again, that's not what Brandon Saad is. He's not a needle-moving acquisition. This isn't like when Evander Kane was terminated and became a free agent, and it was like, whoa, you're adding a 25 to 35 goal guy to your lineup for free, nothing but the money. That was significant. Even Corey Perry to an extent. Actually, Corey Perry probably about on the same lines as Saad.
This is probably the same.
Yeah. So, again, no one was looking at the Oilers after they signed Corey Perry being like, whoa, juggernaut. But it was like, hey, nice ad. So, yeah, for Vegas, hey, nice ad. But, again, it doesn't make me worried about playing them in the second round or anything like that. All right. Let's cruise along. Should we get into the hockey game last night before we get into all the other news around the league?
There was also new lines today at practice, so I can't wait to get into those.
All right, we're going to have to do a lineup report then as well. But first, let's get to the scoring summary from last night, brought to you by our friends at Charm Diamond Centers. You can get a custom ring built and delivered in less than 4 weeks with Charm and their Masterpiece program. You can also apply for a Charm Diamond Flexity card and get approved for no interest financing on your purchase in minutes. Find out more information on both of those by going to CharmDiamondCenters.com. Last night, the Edmonton Oilers got off to just a banging start, which is definitely an Oilers-centric way to view this, because if you're a Wings fan, you are saying, boy, did we ever fall flat on our face out of this game. Ben Sherratt, what is you doing, baby? Leon Draisaitl takes advantage of the mistake, finds the back of the net, 36 goals on the year for Leon Draisaitl. Again, great. Leon Draisaitl, red hot. What the hell was Ben Sherratt doing here? You are killing a penalty, my man.
Yeah, he seemed to be complaining to the ref after as well. I think he thought he got tripped, but obviously a bit unlucky with the way the puck doesn't even really bounce, does it? He just fans on it. Just take your time. Plenty of time in that moment. Do a little shortstop play. Just bring it in, put the ball in your glove, and throw it out.
Yeah.
It's a very simple play for him. I'm glad he messed it up.
Yeah, me too. Edmonton after that was just absolutely all over Detroit. They ended up racking up 15 shots in the first period, and they were out of that first period with a 2-0 lead thanks to Jeff Skinner's 9th of the season. Another one of those, again, Oilers-centric show. I'm sitting here going, great job going to the net. Capitalize on these mistakes. If I'm a Wings fan, I'm going, what the hell are we doing? Why can't we play hockey? Because Alex Lyon, that was dumb as shit. Every player on the ice, what were you doing? There's 5 Red Wings all standing within 6 feet of the crease, and somehow Jeff Skinner, of all people, is the one who's able to knock this in. And again, like, that is just hilarious to watch from a Wings perspective.
It was, and credit to the Oilers for just like not giving up on this play. I know the puck is obviously loose, but we've seen it sometimes too where they just turn away from moments like this. I did find last night they were really crashing in on the Lions a couple of times, especially Zach Hyman, but also shout out Jeff Skinner. I think this really shows the instincts he has. Like, I think most guys maybe would have gone to the pile. He just goes away from the pile and lets the puck and just taps it into an empty net.
Yeah, Jeff Skinner, 30 games to go in the season. He's on pace for basically, I mean, you can call it 15 goals at this point if you take out the games he's been healthy scratched, or include, the games he's been healthy scratched. Like, that's honestly fine. Like, for a guy to come into the Oilers and get basically no time with Connor or Leon and score 15 goals is really impressive and not something we've gotten a lot over the past couple of years. Like, you can even look at a Ryan McLeod or a Warren Fogle last year who were doing those kinds of numbers, but then go look at how many of those goals they scored when they were on a line with Leon for that 1 month stretch, right? Like, again, Skinner, productive. He's got to stay in the lineup. There's just no debate about it for me.
And he did really well, obviously, in different parts of the game, too. Everyone
had a great back check.
Great back check. There was the one play as well where he got folded into the boards, but then was able to get up and kind of skate the puck out of danger. I think it was Kulak he got it, too. But I thought yesterday was a game you could see where it felt like he was frustrated with the decision to healthy scratch him in a way, and he elevated his game to prove the coaching staff wrong. I think he did a really good job.
Yeah. Again, first period, I liked what we saw from the Oilers at all strengths. Again, the power play and that little break gave them a nice boost. But basically, after Jeff Skinner scored, it's almost like the Oilers, whatever, I know someone said it was an example or a case in don't take your eye off the ball here. They just kind of lost focus for a little bit is all this is. Really disappointing middle frame. Michael Rasmussen scores his 8th of the season halfway through the period, making it a 2-1 hockey game. Deflected. Tough one for Stuart Skinner. He thought maybe it was a high stick. It wasn't. I'm not really going to sit here and judge Skinner all that much. I think that's a tough one to save.
Oh, I don't think this is on Skinner at all. I think this is John Klingberg not knowing the system correctly.
Yeah.
Because you can see him kind of pointing at the guy being like, is that your guy? Is that my guy?
Yeah, let's run it back one more time.
It's your guy, John Klingberg. Like, and I'm not like upset with him by any means. His first game in however long, but probably want to box that guy out and not let him go directly to the net, but whatever. Good tip. Really good tip by Rasmussen.
Yeah. Good play by Detroit, and you're right. Yeah, John Klingberg, 5 games from now, hopefully he's not doing that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Dylan Larkin gets his 22nd of the season. The Red Wings captain ties the game up, and it came just like 2 minutes later, too. It was like a minute 48 or something like that. Just kind of sneaks in behind the D and tucks it in past Skinner. Again, not going to... I would love a big save at some point there, but given the context of the whole game, Skinner went on to make a lot of big saves.
He did one right before this.
Yeah, he had to stop a breakaway. That's a great point. He had to stop a breakaway right before this.
He just stopped Lucas Raymond and Dylan Larkin pretty much the exact same. If we put it side by side, they'd be the same play. Just picks a spot Raymond didn't. And again, Dylan Larkin is one of the best offensive players in the league as of late.
And again, that's kind of my beef with the whole Stuart Skinner thing is like, okay, he'll stop a breakaway right before, and then he gives up a breakaway goal, and people go, how come he can't make a big save? And it's like,
what do you mean?
Don't allow 2 straight breakaways. How about that?
How about you help him out a little bit? Yeah, if you look at the score, the shot bug there too, like 12 shots for Detroit.
Yep.
That first one when they scored was at 8th. Mixed in between those 4 shots was another breakaway, like we said. So
I saw somebody yesterday on Twitter too being like 2 goals on 9 shots at one point for Stuart Skinner. It's like, okay, if you set that metric anywhere, like
Read the game.
Yeah, exactly. Third period, and this is, again, no one scores in the third period. The Oilers do outshoot them 14-9. The shot attempts in that third period at all strengths were 27-11. Edmonton, after scoring on their first power play of the game, end up missing on each of their next three, including one in that third period. And honestly, that's where my frustration sits with this team. Like, I'm not sitting here saying I have any concerns after that loss to Detroit. Your point streak's now at 4. Detroit is a team that's been playing great over the last month since they brought in Todd McClellan. Like, you're going to lose hockey games every once in a while. But when I sit there and go, okay, what am I most disappointed about last night? To me, it's the offense having as many looks as they did and not scoring. Like, I went back today and rewatched the final third and overtime. Bouchard, wide open look with 2 minutes to go in the third, doesn't score. Leon Draisaitl, how many shots in overtime did he have? And it's like, again, I am not upset at anything. Leon Draisaitl is probably going to win the Hart Trophy this year. Big picture, no concerns, no anger. Vacuum of that game last night is score on one of these chances. Like, you played Alex Lyon and you only popped home 2 despite getting 47 shots on goal in that hockey game. 47 shots on goal. You scored 2 goals on Alex Lyon. You were the Edmonton Oilers. Score. Put pucks in the back of the net. And Aiden even says, like, Maynard says Leon Post. Yeah, like, some bad luck mixed in there too, which, again, we're not upset about the way this hockey game went. You got a point. It's fine at the end of the day. You'll take some lessons. But, like, I don't look at this game and go, damn it. Like, Skinner goes 0 for 2 in the shootout. We lose to the Red Wings. No, it's just one of those nights that's going to happen. I would like to see him score more. Because guess what? If they score at the end of the third period, we're talking about a great Stuart Skinner performance and a great save percentage and a good Oilers win.
Yeah, I agree. I think the offense was the problem in this game. Like you said, with a team like the Oilers who have that much depth and offensive threat, if you have 47 shots on goal, you should score more than twice.
Bingo.
Even in the shootout, they didn't score a damn goal, for Christ's sake. So, yeah, that wasn't good. Pod Colson had a great chance in the first period as well. I think it was around the 10-minute mark. Draisaitl put it right in the middle of the ice frame, wide open. Puts it right into the pads of Alex Lyon, who did play well, to his credit. Obviously, had a really good save on Leon Draisaitl as well. I think that would have been the second period. But yeah, you need him to score. And the effort in overtime, too, is very lackluster, especially in that last minute when, after they come off the penalty kill, which was a fantastic kill, those three, Draisaitl, McDavid, and Bouchard, and honestly, like, mostly McDavid, was just making the worst plays I've seen him make in a long time.
I wonder if the flu bug's not a thing.
Yeah, I wonder if it is going. Obviously, Ekholm wasn't on the ice again today. But yeah, I thought McDavid and those three needed to perform a little bit better in overtime. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, you lost a game in a shootout. I'm not going to sit here and worry about it at all. Like, do you not feel like once you get past that overtime, the game is just pretty much over anyway? Like, it becomes so irrelevant to me at that point.
So random, yeah. Like, it's just a shootout loss. It's a shootout loss.
Whatever.
Connor McDavid's shootout attempt, I mean, one of those moves you try where, like, if that works, you're like, whoo, and then it doesn't work, and it almost, like, looks lackluster. But then if he scores it and the goalie bites on that cut in, then you're sitting there going, man, Connor McDavid makes it look
Best
easy.
in the world.
Yeah. Lucas Raymond, again, that's a really good shot from a really good goal scorer going under the glove of Stu. Nuge misses, and then Dylan Larkin. Maybe would have liked to see Stewart squeeze that one, but it's a fucking shootout.
It's a shootout. It's a shootout. I don't know. I really don't care. It's like, do you remember earlier in the year when they lost to Carolina in overtime with like 6 seconds left?
Yeah.
I didn't care about that either. They lost the game. They were going to a shootout. It was going to be a toss-up anyway. Like, I don't know. I'm not blaming anyone. Just think I'll blame the offense. There you go. If you want someone to blame, they needed to score more than 2.
Here's my kind of mark for the rest of the year.
Okay.
Did you wake up in first place in your division still?
Yeah, because Vegas lost in overtime.
They did.
To Columbus.
Vegas has 3 wins in their last 10 games. Again, first place in the division by points percentage. Boom. We're good. And as Chili says, on to Toronto. Exactly. I'm not even going to... I don't even want to talk about this game anymore. Are we done? Well, no, because we want to do... You have a take.
Yeah, I have so many takes. I got 40 minutes to fill.
Well, I know, but I'm talking about Liam. Not just...
My one big take.
Yeah, your one big take brought to you by our friends at Booster Juice. Delicious and nutritious smoothies, drinks, snacks, and food to help power you through the day. Find a location nearest you by downloading the Booster Rewards app. Earn berry points to continue ordering and enjoying. Earn up those points. Rack them up. Get some free smoothies. Why not? Why not? Yeah. Where's the closest Booster Juice to your house?
Aaron and I were discussing this yesterday, actually.
Very, very close to my house.
Is it really?
There's one very close to Aaron's, the OG Sorry, Aaron.
First ever.
Yeah.
Is it? Oh, yeah, the first ever's in Sherwood
from
Park.
Sherwood Park. And shout out Dale Wisher one.
Liam, stop it. We're giving
and
out my
then
address.
The
now.
other one,
Doxing you guys.
the other one is on the way out of Sherwood Park for me.
There's one right by the Superstore by my house.
I know.
Shout out to St. Albert.
Shout out.
You know where that one is?
Shout out Stab. Yeah.
There you go. Shout out to Booster Juice. Liam, your one big take.
The experiment that Knobloch is going through right now. That man has no commitment to his lines, and I think it's a very interesting thing. I kind of like it in certain ways because throughout the game for a while it was just like you go on natural stat trick, it was like 10 line matchups.
Oh, yeah,
you know
there's
what I mean?
a lot.
Now I'm looking today, there was 5, and a lot of them are just like Zach Hyman got thrown back up with Nugent, McDavid, and stuff like that. So I think it's interesting. He did it again today, and I wonder, and I wonder what everyone thinks about this too. Like the lack of offense last night, I think it plays into stuff like this. He's like Connor Brown isn't a first line player, but you need to know if he can play there. You know what I'm trying to say? And like against Seattle, it wasn't exactly threatening him, was it? But like I feel like they're just gonna have these games where they're just like, you know what? Let's mix it up tonight. Let's see what Brown can do up there. Can Hyman carry his line a little bit? So like, I'm starting to, and this is only in the last 12 hours I've thought about this, just to be like not offended by the lines that Knobloch is throwing out anymore. Because I think this is all the plan, and I think we're going to get to game 1 of the playoffs. It's going to be Nuge, McDavid, Hyman, and then you already know the rest. You already know what the lineup is going to be on night 1 of the playoffs, don't you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I don't love it, and I would like a bit of consistency, but like, I'm fine with it right now. It's January until tomorrow.
My thing is, can we maybe we just keep McDavid, Hyman, and Nuge together?
That is the one I would like to see more together, yes.
Like, I totally do get what you're saying. Even just keeping, like, you put a driver down there, and you think Hyman's a driver, like, that's fine, and it makes sense. But, like, just looking here, Connor McDavid, when he was on the ice with Zach Hyman last night, shots were 13-7, goals were 2-0.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, sorry. Am I looking at the right game? No, I am looking at the right game.
Last night? Oh, with Hyman. I see.
Yeah, with Hyman, yeah.
Yeah.
That, to me, like, there you go. That's what I want to see. Just McDavid and Hyman. I think you can move other pieces around, but you have a duo here that really works. I don't know.
But you not think after they have 4 games now until the 4 Nations. Mm-hmm. I feel like once they get back from that, it's just going to be like, okay, these are our lines, and now we're getting into the groove. Or maybe that's what happens after the deadline. I don't know. There's a couple of spots here where they can be like put a hard reset on it and be like, this is our first line, second line, third line, fourth line. You know what I mean? No, like it's interesting.
I do get what you're saying, and I am generally a fan of like give everyone a little taste with everybody.
Yeah.
Come playoff time, if you need to for injuries or whatever, there's at least a baseline of familiarity between players. Mm-hmm. But the other part of it too is like this group has played together now for basically a year. Well, they have a year and a half, season and a half, right?
You should know.
Should know.
Yeah.
Should know by now. So again, you want to mix it around a little bit. To me, it's kind of just like meh. Sure, have a game like this. Saturday though, I want to see Nuge, McDavid, Hyman back together and all of that. Which I guess nice segue right into our lineup report. I actually haven't even seen the new look lines yet because they dropped after we started the show. Pop them up, AB.
Oh, you would want an ad read first. Okay, here you go.
What do we got? Draisaitl, McDavid, Perry.
Not the platypus.
Nuge, Hyman, Arvidsson, Henrique, Podkolzin, Brown, Janmark, Skinner, Kapanen. Why are you? I would switch Skinner. First instinct, switch Skinner and Podkolzin. Because again, Skinner scored with Henrique, and it's almost like if you play skilled guys with other skilled guys, they're going to find a way to be productive.
Who would have thought?
Mm-hmm, who would have thought? How do I feel about this?
Can I tell you how I feel about it?
Yeah.
Even though I just said I'm not offended by things.
Yeah.
Specifically the line changes. I think Arvidsson played well yesterday, and I know that was maybe not everyone agreed on that. I think you could have just bumped him down a little bit. Mm-hmm. I would have honestly, if you didn't want to bump Arvidsson down, I think Podkolzin, Hyman, and Arvidsson, Podkolzin, Nugent, Arvidsson, sorry, did really well those couple of games. And I think that's a line I would look to go to again. I would have kept Skinner on the second line, third line, sorry, and I mean Corey Perry. Been playing awesome. He's having a good impact on the game in small sample sizes. You probably don't need to put him next to McDavid and Draisaitl.
No.
But Toronto. I actually would love to win this game, though.
I want to win this game real bad. Also, can I just quickly... I clicked the wrong 3-2 overtime game against Detroit when I was giving those numbers 2 minutes ago. That one earlier in the year. McDavid and Hyman last game played 4:43 together. Shots were 5-1.
For the Oilers?
For the Oilers. Wow. When McDavid was on the ice with Brown at 5-on-5, shots were 3-3, and they got outscored 1-0. So, again, just like keep Connor and Hyman together.
Brown doesn't have the instincts.
No.
He's just not that guy, and that's fine. It's the same argument we have about Matthias Yaremchuk. Mm-hmm. Play them in their role, and they're strong players for this team. Play them above what they're supposed to be, and they're probably going to fail. But, again, I'm okay with giving guys chances to see what you get.
Yeah.
But I already know what the outcome is. Right? I mean, we all know what's going to happen. We're going to get to a certain point in this game, and Zach Hyman is going up to that first line instead of Corey Perry. You know why? Because Corey Perry's 39 years old, and he's playing with the 2 best players in the league.
I'm with you. We got a comment in there a little bit earlier, and it might have went away, but someone was saying that they're a little bit concerned about the production from the Oilers wingers. So we're at the 51 game mark of the season. I'm just kind of curious to sort of see how guys have been scoring so far this year. So 51 game mark of the season. The Oilers, outside of McDavid and Draisaitl, of course, have 2 players who have hit double digits in goals. Hyman has 17, Nuge has 15, and then next on the list is Skinner and Perry at 9. Mm-hmm. So again, 6 total forwards have scored 9 goals or more so far this season. I guess if you want to be like concerned, you could say them like, hey, a guy like Arvidsson and Podkolzin who have been getting top 6 minutes are not producing enough right now, and I do think that is a somewhat fair complaint. But again, for Skinner and Perry to be at 9 goals, not playing with Connor and Leon in Skinner's case at all, in Perry's case, not all that often, that's pretty impressive to me, actually.
Yeah, I would agree. I think even like a guy like Kasperi Kapanen as well to have 6 goals on the season, like, I mean, the totals are obviously important, but it's like, when are these guys showing up? Like, when are you getting goals from them as well, right? And I feel like those 3 in particular have come up in moments when you kind of needed them. So I agree. I think the production needs to be a little higher from them. And again, that's why I would add another forward to this group. But like, you got Adam Henrique with 7 goals. Brown has what? 6 now too.
So just comparing it to the Oilers forward group from last year at the 51 game mark. Hyman had 32, Dry had 26, Connor had 21. Evander Kane at that point was at 19. Nuge was at 15, Fogle was at 10, and McLeod was at 7. So they did have one more player at the 9 goal mark by 51 games last year. It was Evander Kane, though, being the outlier. So basically, what you've lost from McLeod, if you want to call that offense away from Connor and Leon, you replace that with Skinner. What you lost in Fogle is kind of now Perry's production. Like, I don't know. I'm not all that worried about it.
No, I honestly don't think about it very often.
No.
I think these guys are showing up in spots. And like we just said, like the lines are moving around so often, I think production may looking down, but it's actually not bad.
Yeah, I am with you on that. Let's keep cruising along. Let's get to... Well, I guess we can call it the rumor mill, I guess, and we can talk about the news from yesterday, right? Because, I mean, it was a rumor for a little bit. The rumor mill brought to you by our friends at the Edmonton Police Service, who want to remind you to curb the danger and report an impaired driver by calling 911. If it impairs your ability to drive in any way, it is both highly dangerous and illegal. For more information on Curb the Danger, visit edmontonpolice.ca/impaired drive. And if you remember, Liam, back to about a month ago, a little over a month ago, I had a chance to go on a ride-along with our friends at EPS, and we have our first look at my behind-the-scenes ride with Edmonton Police Service. Yaremchuk from Oilersnation here with our new friends at the Edmonton Police Service, and today we're riding along. I'm learning a little bit more about what goes into a night full of check stops and how the Edmonton Police Service is keeping our streets safe.
Basically, at this point in time, we're driving around and targeting drunk drivers. So we're running license plates and we're stopping people and doing a sobriety check on all drivers.
You don't need to necessarily believe they're impaired to give them a breathalyzer, right?
No, not at all. In 2018, Canada changed the criminal code that basically gave police officers mandatory alcohol screening.
She was heading eastbound on 107th Ave, drove straight through the traffic circle. So if I'm driving and I suspect someone who's on the road with me could be impaired, what should my next step be?
Your next step is to call 911. As police officers, impaired drivers are our number one priority. Unfortunately, impaired driving is still the leading cause of criminal death in Canada and North America. So what we'll actually ask people to do is just to try to follow them and give us the best directions. We get calls, probably 10, 20 calls a day of impaired driving.
Shout out to the Edmonton Police Service. All right, Liam, rumor mill. We did get a trade last night in the NHL. The Calgary Flames and Philadelphia Flyers making a move. Do we have the trade board here to flash up? The Calgary Flames acquiring Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost. The Philadelphia Flyers acquiring Jacob Peltier, Andrei Kuzmenko, a second-round pick in 2025, and hilariously enough, a seventh-round pick in 2028. I love the idea of the two GMs sitting down and being like, all right, you're making concessions, I'm making concessions, and it's like, if you give me a seventh in 2028, I'm in. It really is wild. Why does that need to be in the trade?
Do you remember Ken Holland was kind of doing this last season?
Yeah, a little bit.
He got the 6th round pick in the Henrique and who was it? Carrick deal?
Yeah.
It's for the scouts.
Yeah, I thought the scouts a little bone.
Basically is. It's like, hey, we'll give you an extra pick on the day. Scout Union.
So I'll be honest, on first look, this doesn't make any sense for Philadelphia.
Oh, no. Yes, it does. Because Joel Farabee, Kuzmenko is a UFA. That's the only part of it that kind of makes sense.
So they wanted financial flexibility, essentially,
I think
here.
that is what they are getting here. And I don't, obviously, from the reports, Joel Farabee wasn't one of Tortorella's favorites. So to get him off the books as he has 3 or 4 years left, whatever it may be, I think that was probably the play.
Yeah, 3 more years. Kuzmenko would have been a distressed asset. Yep. Peltier cleared waivers earlier this season.
Yep.
So you get a second-round pick and you get out of the Farabee money. The Flyers now have 7 draft picks in the first 2 rounds of this upcoming draft. And heading into next season, they're now projected to have $25.3 million in cap space. So I asked Frank about this. He was like, hey, if the Flyers want to be in on a big-name free agent now, they can be. Although I will add, with the news of the cap increase, which we'll touch on in a bit, it's very funny to hear every fan base be like, we can be in on Rantanen. Only one team is going to get Mikko Rantanen. Frank also said maybe the Flyers go re-engage with a guy like Elias Pettersson. Oh boy, sign me up for Pettersson and Torts. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. JT Miller and Torts? I think that would be an awesome duo.
They would probably get along a little bit better.
Probably would.
Get along.
Yeah.
They would run a tight ship, that's for sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Credit to Calgary. I think Craig Conroy is...
Well, this is what you need to do, right?
Yeah.
Weaponize your cap space. We always hear about that, but the Flames have $17 million in cap space still after making this move. Heading into next season now, projected to have $37.1 million in cap space, and it's like, Joel Farabee can be a 20-goal guy for you. How do I know that? He's done it before. Did it last year. Scored 50 points last year. 22 goals. Year before that, 15 goals, 39 points. Year before that, 17 goals in only 63 games. Year before that, 20 goals in 55 games. The idea that Joel Farabee will slide into your top 6 and score you 20 goals it's realistic.
Yeah, totally. And they needed goals in Calgary. They're not scoring at a very good rate for a team that's in a playoff spot right now. I think Dustin Wolf has been incredible for them, to be honest. So just a good trade by Conroy. I think when you look back last season, too, to get the assets he got for Noah Hannafin, I know the players they got back weren't necessarily great, but the picks they got are what's of value. Chris Tanev, I know everyone expected a first, but when you look at the market, the second-round pick was actually probably pretty fitting for him that they got. Yep. So, yeah, they've done a good job. I think it's very important to build a winning culture. It's so underrated. And I know Calgary fans, and I totally get it, want to tank and get all these high-end picks. But as Oilers fans, and Aaron and I spoke about this last night, seeing through 10 years of your team being absolutely terrible
no fun.
Is awful. And you lose a lot of passion for it in a way.
Can I also give you another thing, too?
Yes.
Calgary doesn't own their first-round pick this year. It's Montreal has it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So the way it works is because they traded it to get rid of Sean Monahan's contract, which unbelievable work by Montreal to get a first to take Monahan's contract, then trade him for a first at the deadline the next year.
Yeah.
Great stuff. But the Flames only get to keep their first-round pick if it's in the top 10 this year. If it's in the top 10 this year, the Flames get to keep it, but then next year's pick goes to Montreal.
So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
You are. Yeah. And this year, they have New Jersey's first and Florida's first. So you have 2 first-rounders already this year in the draft.
Yeah.
if you're anywhere later than 10th, you got to trade your pick to Montreal. So what's the point or it's actually worst case scenario, if you just miss the playoffs and have to give Montreal the 12th overall pick or 11th overall pick, push and make the playoffs. Also, Oilers fans, I don't think we're going to like this. Dustin Wolf's going to be a star.
Yeah, he's really awesome.
And Dustin Wolf might be so good that he prevents you from ever truly bottoming out.
I agree. And I think, too, like, when you go back and look at Calgary's, like, draft history the last 4 years, they've actually done a pretty good job of drafting in the first round later.
Yep.
Connor Zary was a 24th overall pick. I know Pelletier's not worked out to what they thought, but like an NHL player, 26 overall, like it's not bad at all.
Here's what I'll say next, though, about the Flames, is I love this deal, and I think it's the type of move that they should have made.
Yeah.
Where you need to be careful now, though, when you're Calgary, you can't do this move a bunch of times.
Oh, no. This is kind of one or two times you can do this.
Because I think of a team like Seattle, where coming out of the expansion draft, it was like, whoa, they got Eberle, and they got Schwartz, and they got Yanni Gourde, and Jared McCann, and all these guys. And then they go and they sign Burakovsky, and you're like, that's great. Burakovsky's a good player. They got him for $5.5 million. And then they went and traded for Oliver Bjorkstrand and give up middle-round picks, and you're like, whoa, he can score you 25 goals. That's a great pickup. And then you end up sitting there and going, okay, we've spent all this money, we've added all these guys, and we have 9 good forwards, but not a single great one. And where I think Calgary can get into some trouble here is maybe they can do this kind of a move one more time. Maybe you do it for a blue line or whatever. You take a shot on a guy in his early to mid-20s who's fallen out of favor in his current organization and hope that you can strike gold on him with his second team here.
Yeah.
You also at some point will need a superstar forward. The only way to get that is through draft or free agency. And I think if you're Calgary, you're sitting there going, okay, Huberdeau is a good but not great player anymore. Kadri is a good but not great player, also in his mid-30s. Farabee, good but not great. Coleman, good but not great. You're sensing a theme here. Backlund, Sharon Govich, Morgan Frost, now you can add to that mix. Like, all good but not great, and I like Coronado, and I like Zari, but neither of them are going to be 100-point guys in their career. Who is your 100-point guy? You don't have one. So, again, I like this move. But I also think at some point here, it's got to come with you finding a way to get a superstar. And if you're Calgary, you have 2 first-round picks in this upcoming draft, 2 first-round picks in the next draft. Maybe at some point, and maybe it's next summer even. It's not even this coming summer. It's next summer after you pick a guy in the first round, whatever. At some point, you need to go look around and go, okay, is someone willing to trade a Martin Necas? Is someone willing to trade whoever it is? And you need to go take your shot at some point to get a 100-point guy.
I wonder if they would be able to do business with one of those, more towards the draft, with one of those Eastern Conference teams, because it's so tight that's like, we just need a good second-line center, and they're able to trade Kadri, for example, and then they move up in the draft because of it, and they get into the lottery. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what team that could be. Maybe a team like Detroit, for example, of like, we need a bit more depth. Maybe they're a bad example, but someone in that range, and they have the 13th overall pick. And I know that's not an ideal range, but like, there's a way to move yourself up in this if you really wanted to. Like, they do have assets to do it, but I like the move. The blue line is what it is. I'm curious to see what happens with Rasmus Anderson, to be honest. But like you said, if they already have 2 late first-round picks anyway, what's a third? They don't need a third.
No,
well
they won't trade Rasmus Anderson.
No.
Okay, let's get to the other news here, and we kind of hinted at it. Salary cap news for this season, and Frank Saravalli sending out a tweet with a very important distinction that other guys weren't making here, and it's this. The NHLPA memo to teams isn't merely a projection of cap increases, but an agreement between the two parties. So there could be slight fluctuation, but this is the league and the PA coming together on something important when you consider that there's a labor negotiation not that far around the corner here. But next season, the salary cap will be $95.5 million. That is a $7.5 million increase. It will then jump up $8.5 million the next year to go to 104, and then $113.5 million 2 seasons from now in 27-28, or 3 seasons from now. I should say a $9.5 million increase on that point. From now, between now and the 2027 season, the NHL salary cap will jump up 13 plus 10 plus another 2. That's $25 million, $25.5 million. Holy shit.
Holy guacamole.
Knowing NHL GMs, they are going to spend this money wisely and not all at once.
100%. I could totally see just guys having to wait in free agency weeks at a time. The list surely won't be done by the end of June 30th.
They'll look back at that summer when, who was it? Clarkson and Lucic and Okposo and Neal all signed those deals, and they'll be like, you know what? We can't repeat those mistakes.
No.
Oh, Louis Eriksson as well. David Backes. That summer was hilarious.
What a year.
But this is significant for a team like the Oilers. Now, Frank did have another interesting tweet in there, and it said, real concern for some Canadian teams moving forward. A $113.5 million USD salary cap in 2027 equates to $163.2 million spending in Canadian dollars based on today's rate. If you thought Oilers concession prices were getting cheaper, I got news for you. But Frank says, how will those teams find a way to significantly generate new revenue to match the increase? If I'm being honest, I think this is a concern for two teams. It's Ottawa and it's Winnipeg.
The other ones are all pretty wealthy.
And Edmonton is a very rich team with a very, very rich owner who will not blink at having to spend $163 million Canadian every year.
No, he will not. He will not care. You know why? Because he's going to pay the best player in the world to go win him Stanley Cups.
That too. So I tweeted out the math on the Leon Draisaitl extension, and man, is this ever beautiful now.
Yeah.
So when Leon Draisaitl signed his last deal, I'll actually have to pull up those numbers again, but the simple number I threw out is in year 2 of Leon Draisaitl's extension, because again, it kicks in next year. That'll be year 1. So this is actually year 3, I should say. He'll be taking up 12.33% of the Oilers cap. This year, he's taking up 9.65. You got to extend Leon Draisaitl for basically the rest of his career, and you only needed a 2.7% increase on your percentage of the cap. And that's when we're on year 3. Never mind year 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Who knows how much higher this can go? The Oilers are in. I should say the Oilers and the players as well on the Oilers are both in a really good spot of I don't think the money that they probably deserve is truly out there yet. So I doubt it would get that high. But the Oilers are going to be able to add some great players here over the next 3 years that will already be added to what is already a great team.
Yeah.
I was actually quite excited. I was very excited to read the news this morning. We already kind of knew it was coming. But
I didn't know it was going to be committing to those jumps, because that allows teams to have cost certainty into plan.
Yeah, it does. So it could be an interesting deadline too now. How do you think this affects the deadline?
I think teams will be less scared to take on contracts with term, like a Dylan Cousins.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
I also wanted to quickly do this math. I know you all love your Yaremchuk math here. So when Leon Draisaitl signed his last deal, his $8.5 million extension coming out of that 2017 playoff run, $8.5 million, and that would be 2000. The cap that year was $75 million. So that means when Leon Draisaitl signed his last contract, he was taking up 11.33% of the Oilers cap the first year of it. And now, in his new extension, he's a bona fide superstar who is about to put a second Hart Trophy in his cabinet, knock on wood, I believe he is. He will basically be making, it's a 1% difference. That's crazy, man. That's crazy for the Oilers.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to sum it all up with the percentages.
And now, we get to tie this into Evan Bouchard. Can I walk you through an exercise here, okay?
Can I say it?
What?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hilarious. Alex is in Sod to Vegas.
How much?
That's good. Okay. I think most, again, there is a side of the Bouchard debate that is out here. There is a side that's way out here, right?
Yeah.
I think most sane people will go 8x8 is very stomachable. Probably a great deal, but it's very stomachable. I think even a lot of people who are more on the Bouchard detractor side would be like, I'd do 8x8. This year, $8 million is 9% of the cap. In 2027, 2 years from now, when the cap goes up, 9% of that would be $10.25 million.
10.25.
Yeah. So again, this cap increase is going to have to force us to change the way we view player values. Like a $5 million player, Joel Farabee, in a few years, $5 million is less than 5% of the cap. That's going to be third line money in a few years in the league.
I think a really good way to describe it to people is Sean Horkoff was the highest paid Oiler. He made $5.5 million in 2010.
6 or 5.
And now Zach Hyman makes $5.5 million, and he just scored 50 goals and is the Oilers' third best forward.
And is one of the best contracts in the NHL. Yeah. So, and again, everyone hated Horkoff. I know, different. It's a whole conversation. We don't need to go there. But like, if you're comfortable right now, if you're one of those people who is a Bouchard detractor and you're comfortable with him at $8 million and say like, hey, I would do that. I think he's an $8 million defenseman with his deficiencies, but with his upside, that's a good number. Okay, when the Oilers sign, if the Oilers sign Evan Bouchard for $10 million, by the time, and again, it's an 8-year deal, by the time he's on year 3 of that deal, there will be defensemen in the league making 15.
Yeah.
He will not be in the upper echelon of these things. In fact, by the time we get to years, let's call it 5, 6, and 7 of not just his deal, but also Darnell Nurse's deal, we're going to be sitting there and looking and going, man, the Oilers have these 2 defensemen locked up for under $20 million. That's awesome.
Yeah, it will be. It's very interesting to think about because obviously we're just all stuck in it now, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, the money thing, I really don't know what you do with him. Like, I know what I would do with him, but like, I don't know which way this is going to truly go.
Seeing the way this cap is trending, though,
I think it is favoring Bouchard.
it is favoring Bouchard, but I also think it makes the Oilers' decision a lot easier because I don't think you should be nervous. Let's say you get down to whenever, a couple days before his arbitration, and you're going, okay, we're running the numbers. We think he actually has an arbitration case of $10 million for next year, and we aren't going to walk away from it because we've gone this far. And Bouchard says, I'll sign an 8 by 10.25, and you go, okay, let's do it because in 2 years, we know that's only 9% of our cap. You do it. I think it just makes it a lot easier. And Oilers Goat says Bouchard is not accepting anything lower than 10. Y'all are delusional. I probably agree with you. In fact, I do agree with you. Yeah. I think we're getting an 8 by 10 extension at some point here. And what I'm trying to get through the point of all of this math and this exercise is that if you right now say he's an $8 million defenseman and I'm okay with him at $8 million, then you need to be okay with him signing for 10 because we're going to have to change kind of our scope and how we view these.
Do you think the Canadian dollar helps the players at all in these contracts? I think we spoke about it a little bit because how much is 10 million? Like 16? No, that's crazy.
Oh, it's like 14, yeah.
14.
Yeah. If you are, if you're a Canadian-born player like a Bouchard or a McDavid, right, who is now going to be living in Canada, you spend from Canada, where you spend your off seasons in Canada. You get to live in Canadian dollars year round. Like, I do think it helps. I think it helps. I think it helps offset the tax implication thing.
Yeah, because everyone talks about like the advantage the state of Florida and Texas have and stuff like that, and I agree, they totally do. But
making USD and living in Canada is sick.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be interesting. How do you fit Rantanen into the equation? I actually tried to do it today.
Okay, so let's get into our Sherwood Ford Giant question. How does this affect the Oilers' offseason plans? Brought to you by our friends at Sherwood Ford. The Giant Nation Valet service is coming in on Monday. We have an exciting announcement surrounding it, and that's all you get. That is your entire tease. But Liam, our question is, how does this affect the Oilers' summer plans? So we went and used the Puckpedia My GM tool, and we quickly threw together our roster projections. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
No, I can go first, but I would just like to say a quick note on these teams.
I threw them together.
I hated doing it.
I threw it together very quickly, yes.
This free agency class has some elite players at the top, and there is very much nothing else. Like, this is a tough one to have a lot of money to spend in if you're a bad GM.
Yep.
Because you are spending a lot of money on Luke Kunin.
Yep.
But here's my roster.
All right, let me take a peek here. So you're doing... Oh, you didn't do Rantanen.
No, I did it first, and I thought I literally cannot make this work at all.
It's so hard to make it work.
So for this, obviously, I traded Evander Kane. I found the perfect suitor for him, the New York Islanders.
Ooh.
Doesn't he feel like just a New York Islander?
Yeah, then he'll go live in New York and be happy.
Lou loves those kind of guys. I got a second and a fourth for him.
You got a second and a fourth one?
Yeah, why not?
Oh,
Effective player. We'll see. I'm assuming he has a good playoffs. Yeah. Kept Arvidsson. Re-signed Connor Brown. I could see that also being close to like the Matthias Janmark deal. Tanner Jeannot, interesting one. Fourth line plays, adding a little bit of grit, $1.2 million. Obviously, Savoy comes up, re-signed Noah Phillips, $900,000 for 2 years. And I think I was the only one. That's my forward group complete. I only have 12 forwards. I think I had like $800,000 in cap space. Defense, Aaron, Neil Pionk. 6.5 bajillion for 4 years. And that was it. Oh, and I re-signed Ty Emerson to $1.75 million for 2 years. I think actually you could see that being a realistic deal considering where the cap's going to be at the end of year 3 for him, end of year 2 for him, sorry. And then Evan Bouchard, 10 million, 8 years.
So, 10 million, 8 years. Yeah. So first off, we didn't show each other these beforehand, so I'm getting yours for the first time here.
Yeah.
I think you are wildly out to lunch on getting 2 assets for Evander Kane. You're gonna have to attach to him. At first, I thought you were out to lunch giving Jeannot 1.25 million because I was like, he's gonna get more than that. Then I looked, and over the course of his last, let's call it 120 games, he's only scored 13 goals. Over the course of his last 175 games, he's scored 18 goals. He's not good.
No, but he gives you just a bit more physicality, which is what I'm looking for in this. And again, to be honest, the options were very slim. A lot of the players I wanted to sign, the Oilers have on their team right now, like Perry and Kasperi Kapanen. But again, all of this is the assumption the Oilers have won the Stanley Cup. Corey Perry can finally retire because he has another one.
Yep.
And I think Kapanen will just go and try and find another team. I actually don't love this team.
I don't either.
And I do think the Oilers are going to go out and try and make some trades.
Yes. First off, I want to get to a comment in the chat because this guy's talking and he's annoying me. He goes, Ryan S., I think it's funny you all are okay with giving Bouchard 10 million, but you hate the Nurse deal, and Nurse has been better as of late.
I like the Nurse
deal. Do you like the Nurse deal?
It's fine with me right now.
I like the Nurse deal.
Fine with the Nurse deal.
Have you hated on Nurse this year?
Not.
Have you? No. Okay, Ryan S., pay attention or get out of here.
Come on.
He watches the show every day. He knows.
Yeah,
better.
he does. But come on. He says, I'm being realistic. You guys are being so biased. No, you aren't paying attention to anything we say at any point. So just stop. Okay, my team. And again, we didn't show each other these. So I actually think it's funny how we're on the same page with a lot of stuff. But here is the team I put together starting with my forward group. I traded Evander Kane to the Anaheim Ducks and attached a 4th-round pick to get out of him fully.
Okay.
So that's how I got out of Evander Kane. I signed Andrew Mangiapane to be my little spark plug bottom 6 addition here.
So similar idea to my Jeannot one.
Yeah, I had to give him a second year. Again, this might be maybe a little light. He's got 10 goals in 50 games this season with the Washington Capitals. But again, he's played in Alberta before. I think there's a decent fit. I might be a hair light on his dollars with the cap increase, but I like Andrew Mangiapane. I brought back Connor Brown, and I signed Nick Dowd out of Washington as well. I gave him a 2x2. He's 34. I was nervous doing it, but again, I just think you want to add a little bit more depth down the middle. And I think he can kill penalties for you and win draws. He scratches an itch that's been itchy for a while in terms of a 4C right shot that wins draws. And it allows Noah Philp to just comfortably be your cheap 13th forward. Guy who can play center, play the wing, move around a little bit. So if I were to change anything here, maybe if I get Mangiapane and have to give him a bit more money, I don't end up bringing back a Connor Brown. But this is my forward group. I don't hate it, but like you, I don't love it either. It's just very blah for me.
I really just think they could bring back the same guys.
I honestly think they might. Yeah. My blue line, this is where I think it's funny. I gave Neil Pionk a deal too. I gave him, except I felt like I had to go more years, so I went 6x5. Yeah, I like Pionk as a fit, and you and I actually gave Emberson the same deal. I gave him an extra year. I realize it's unrealistic probably, but this is my blue line. Pionk to a 6x5. Maybe I'd even go a 6x6 considering he's only 29 and the cap's going to be shooting up. But I gave Bouchard 8x9.5, so I was a little bit lower there. This group, as constructed, is $850K under the cap, which you could be up to 1.7 under the cap and actually accruing if you were to just send Philp to the minors whenever you don't need him. So yeah, this is my team. My big add is Neil Pionk. I have a top 4 on my blue line with Bouchard locked up for a very, very long time. And I love this top 4, and I love this third pair. I think this is actually, dare I say, an elite blue line.
I think it's very good blue line.
And your goalies are still cheap. And my forward group is underwhelming, but with $1.75 million accruing throughout the year for what I would call the bulk of the season, I'm sitting there going, I have every draft pick in the 2026 draft except for my 4th.
Because you traded away. I gained picks.
Yeah, sure. But I have every pick except my 4th. I have $1.75 million that will accrue to $5 million by the deadline.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there kicking my feet up going, goal scoring will never be a problem because I have Connor, Leon, and Zach. My blue line is rock solid. My goalies are solidified here with my tandem making basically nothing. And I'm going to be able to trade a draft pick or 2 with a ton of cap space at the deadline to go get the best possible forward on the market.
Yeah, I like all of that. Someone put in a barbershop window. Why are we getting rid of Kane? Honestly, it is a money thing for sure. But I think when you go through it as well, there is definitely an avenue of like, maybe they do want to keep him with the market out there. Like, if they don't get Rantanen, which they probably are not going to, after trying to do this exercise with Rantanen in the picture, we were it was speculation that it could get to 97 million. That 1.5 million is actually quite significant for what the Oilers would try and do if they were to get him. I don't know how you get him again, but either way, like Kane, Aaron, if you could just flash up my lines, I guess. If you get him and he comes back and he has a good playoffs and he kind of is able to get through it scot-free and he comes back healthy, a good training camp, everything like that, I think there is a home for him on this team still. Yeah. You kind of need it, like we were saying. Like, the reason I brought in Jeannot is because of the grit that he would bring. He's obviously younger than what Evander Kane would be. I think he's going to be 34 next season. Jeannot being 27. I think Kane could play here, but I would not be shocked to see him move, especially with his trade protection moving.
Yep.
And
send him to Cali.
there was one other thing I was going to add, but I'm forgetting now. Oh, Sam Bowman. Good history of bringing it, just short history, but bringing in cheap deals. He's Colson, Emberson, Kasperi Kapanen.
Yep.
We'll see what Klingberg is, but looks like a decent move right now. I honestly still don't really know what his cap hit truly is.
I'm confused.
Tried to get Brandon Saad. Like, there's 4 examples that have actually panned out pretty well. So I think Stan Bowman could go out and get some decent deals here. Also, Patrick Kane is a free agent.
Yeah, it's interesting. People saying they should keep Kane. My thing on it is he's going to be 34 years old.
Yeah.
Coming off a major surgery and a season in which he will basically only play the playoffs, if that.
Yeah.
I'm doing the New England Patriots. Get rid of him a year too early versus a year too late, right? Just free up. If it only costs you a fourth, I'd rather have the $5 million. And also, you can't go get a piece like Pionk unless you free up money. And someone said I'd rather have a healthy Kane over a healthy Arvidsson. I'll take the guy that's 3 years younger and makes $1.125 million less.
Yeah, and I think an upgrade to the blue line is necessary. Unless you truly believe Ty Emerson can take that jump and become a top 4 defenseman every day, and maybe, let's just say Max Warner, for example, can take the jump and become a regular
and be like your 7 or something.
Yeah, something like a with Setcher, which I actually don't hate the idea totally.
No, I don't hate it either, but again, I'm
not banking on it.
I like the idea of making a big ad on the blue line.
I do too. They haven't really done that for a while in free agency. Obviously,
haven't had to because you got Kulak at the deadline, then he signed a sweetheart deal, and you fell into Ekholm.
When was the last one? Cece, I guess, would have been like the last significant add to the blue line through free agency.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
Before that, Mark Fane, Nikitin. Oh, it's Sekera. Sekera was totally the biggest one they've made in the last 10 years. Bring him back.
Quickly, I want to get to a super chat from Northside Norm, who dropped in $10. It all goes to our friends at the Ben Stelter Foundation, so shout out to Norm. Thank you for donating. He said, some days I spend an hour of my workday watching Oilers Nation, and I'm glad the universe doesn't roast me online for being overpaid. Well, Norm, if you can afford $10 to drop into the super chat, maybe you are overpaid.
Thank you, Norm. Thank you for watching. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Oh, Frosty's in. Sod to the Knights.
How much?
It never gets old. Also, listen, I like Ryan Rashog. I think he's very nice. I always have great interactions with him. But him tweeting like 20 minutes after Saad signed that, like, hey, the Oilers might be interested.
You should see Dave Pagnotta's tweet.
Oh, no.
It was like 4 minutes after Frank, whoever tweeted out that he had signed. He just listed 4 teams that were interested. Really? Yep. Too bad.
Maybe a little scheduled tweet action there.
That'll happen. Ask Glassbanger. The Dallas guy, remember that? Ready for Game 7.
Oh, that was so funny. And now he's in jail.
Isn't he in jail
What a turn of events.
Classic glass banging guy.
That'll happen.
Hey, sometimes when you're driving your dad's car drunk, you just happen to crash. Don't drink and drive. I'm happy glass banger man's in jail. Let's get to...
Mitch, $1.5 million for Sod.
Oh, okay, thanks. Sweet. If anyone knows who ended up paying him, just drop it in there and let us know.
I heard New Jersey, Tampa, Toronto, and Vegas are interested.
Those are the 4 finalists, but you can't rule out Edmonton because of the Stan Bowman connection. I just got here. Why is Liam saying how much money? Yeah, so again...
Just in case you guys didn't know.
If anyone in the chat knows, it's the Tim Robinson. We're all trying to find where Brandon Saad signed.
If you've seen him, let us know.
Should we do a quick? We're going to go late today, but hey, we're giving the people a lot of extra content this week.
I think we've had a great week.
It's because they all bitched and moaned about us doing a pre-recorded interview with Jeff Merrick, so we're like, we feel bad.
Have they noticed we switched to new streaming software?
Yeah, has anyone noticed anything different about our streaming
Because
software?
this has been a large product.
Aaron's had to work like 10 hours of overtime every week for the last month getting this new streaming software
No one has
sorted.
noticed or said a thing in the chat.
No one said anything. Tell us one thing that you've noticed that's new. Let's do what's trending for our friends at Short Power Sports and Marine. Hockey fans helping hockey fans with boats, ATVs, side-by-sides, everything you need for outdoors, whether you're enjoying the cold in the winter or the warmth in the summer. Ice fishing, hello. Also, their service department, as it happens with Sherwood Ford and Short Power Sports and Marine, it is top-notch. What's trending? I get to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays in this segment. Aiden says, how about Scherzer to the Jays? Liam, you're supposed to keep me in check when I do stuff like this. But they have a pitching rotation that could borderline single-handedly bring them to the playoffs.
Okay. I thought you were going to say World Series.
No, I'm not going to go that far. But first off, Kevin Gausman, legit workhorse, front of the rotation guy. Jose Barrios, legit high-end number 2. Chris Bassett got your minute eater. If Bowden Francis is the Bowden Francis we saw in the back half of the season, he's a number 2 pitching in your number 4 spot. And Max Scherzer, I know he is old, but he has had a sub-4 ERA in back-to-back seasons now, 3 straight seasons, even in his late 30s. Like, the idea that he's going to come in, one, give you his nice big emotional boost. When he's on the bump, the crowd's into it. I think the team's into it. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. I think it's awesome. He also has 2 different colored eyes, which I find very interesting.
That is crazy.
But their first 5 in the rotation are good. Then you have Jake Bloss, who's sitting in the minors, the guy you got from Houston, who he can be your number 6, who can do spot duty. And now your bullpen, Jeff Hoffman, is way better than anyone you had in the bullpen last year. Jimmy Garcia is sweet. Yariel Rodriguez is now in your pen. A bounced-back Eric Swanson. Ding, ding, ding. The pitching rotation is awesome. Now all you need is to find a bat, which brings me to what's trending. Jim Bowden, the reporter for The Athletic, former Major League Baseball general manager. He works with a whole bunch of different places. This was his tweet about 20 minutes ago. Okay. There is no question who the most aggressive teams right now are for Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman. It's the Blue Jays and the Cubs, and which could dampen the 2 from returning to their former teams. Bregman apparently wants to go back to Houston. Okay. Alonso apparently wants to go back to New York, but the Jays and Cubs are putting forth so much money that apparently they might leave. If the Jays can get, I want Alonso way more than I want Alex Bregman. I don't think he's going to age all that well. But if you get Alonso and your offseason is Alonso, Jimenez, Santander, the best defensive infielder in baseball, 240 home run guys, and your pitching rotation is that good, I'm all the way back in on the Blue Jays. Rant over. I know you have no thoughts on this, and that's fine.
Is Max Scherzer essentially your R.A. Dickey?
Sure.
Without the knuckleball?
Okay.
Yeah, without the knuckleball, yeah.
So who's Josh Toll?
Josh Tolley.
Tolley, my apologies.
The Jays actually don't have a backup catcher right now, but that's fine.
That seems like a hole. Yeah, this team sounds like it would have been good like 6 years ago with some of those names you were bringing up.
All right.
But, I mean,
thanks, Liam.
Exciting. Hopefully they do well. It's a very tough division.
Yeah.
Could they get Bregman and Alonso? Was something I was thinking of. Who's their third baseman?
Nobody. But the idea would be if you
kind of important.
If you sign,
it sounds like they're missing a couple of players.
But if you sign Alonso, you play Vladdy at third next year. Boom. Or you can play Ernie Clement there.
So
Ernie
Vladdy at third dangerous? Isn't that?
I like it. I don't think he's as bad as people think he is.
So we spoke about this. I remember you saying Springer could potentially be a DH because he's not good defensively anymore.
Yeah, like you'd basically have a rotation of like you'd have your outfield, which is kind of set with Springer maybe as a spare part who would DH half the time. Santander could DH half the time, and then you have Vladdy and Alonso. Alonso could DH when Vladdy's at first. If Alonso needs to play first, Vladdy goes to third. You just a lot of moving parts.
Sounds
exciting to me.
So let me get this in my head.
All right.
Catcher Alejandro Kirk, the athlete. Pete Alonso
at first.
Bo Bichette
at third. Jimenez at second. Clement at...
Oh, boy. Okay. I don't know who Jimenez is.
He's the guy they got from Cleveland.
Oh. I thought that was Miles Shaw.
Miles Straw? No, that's the guy they randomly decided to pay the rest of his salary and did a solid to Cleveland for. Makes no sense.
That adds up.
I'm excited. I'm glad you're excited.
Thank you. I'll watch sometimes.
Yeah.
But
What is-
I just, you know, I actually saw a Josh Donaldson like kind of hype video the other day. That was awesome. That year he was MVP.
He was an MVP that year.
Yeah. God, that was amazing.
Yep.
He was a great player. Former catcher, I believe, correct?
Correct. And they
Turned
flipped
third
him.
baseman.
Just flip him.
Just flipping like Chris Pratt.
What is Bowden Francis' potential? Because I'm looking at his game logs right here.
Nasty.
Damn, dude, in the month of July and August? Like,
That's what I mean. If you get July and August Bowden, you have like a legit number 2 pitching in your 4-hole.
8 innings, 12 strikeouts. Like, damn, dude.
He's good. He is good. He almost threw 2 no-hitters, took them both to the 9th inning.
Damn.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Bet365 Betting Talk. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Odds are up for tomorrow's game between Edmonton and Toronto. Oilers are minus 160 home favorites in this matchup. Over-under set at 6.5. I feel like it's an overnight.
Well, I'm going to say under night.
Oh, really?
I just think Skinner can show up in these moments. He's had
Fair.
2 really good games in a row. Buffalo was his last one. Last night.
My favorite bet tonight is Columbus, plus 190 on the money line against Utah.
Oh, let me take a quick peek here. I had that Anaheim one the other day, which went really, really well.
Nice.
The Wild Bet365 has Swifty specials on the
I did see that. I will not be
I
partaking.
probably won't go look at that one. Buffalo 110 at home against Nashville. It's actually really strong. Wow, that's a really good line. That's what I'm taking.
Yeah.
I don't even care what Buffalo's record is. I know that Nashville's not very good either, so taking Buffalo there seems like a good spot. Columbus, big win yesterday. Shout out the Blue Jackets. What do they call them? The 5th line? Is that the Blue Jackets thing? Yeah, that's been good. Logan Cooley out. Yeah, Roast is right there.
Also one more thing for what's trending. The NHL put out the quarter century team for Utah and just pretended like Phoenix never happened. They just did this year's Utah team.
Well, technically, they are a new franchise.
I know.
So, but
I guess.
to be fair to the NHL, they just decided the Winnipeg Jets don't exist either.
Correct.
And the Winnipeg Jets decided that the Atlanta Thrashers don't exist.
It was all done very, very weird.
Like Timo Solani, I said his name. Why did I say that so bad? Is just like not in the Coyotes history books.
Yep.
But he is technically part of that franchise.
Yep.
It's
Don't try to make sense of it.
No, it doesn't make any sense. There might have been something in there where they gave them back or something, but just frankly silly.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap up the show, Liam, with our weekend preview brought to you by Service Credit Union. The Service Big Share Contest is back and in full swing, and it's your chance to win $1 million just by saving money. Anyone can enter by becoming a member and saving with Service. Every $500 saved gets you 5 entries into the Service Big Share Contest. Contest ends April 30th, 2025. Skill test required. For rules, visit service.ca/win. Edmonton taking on Toronto tomorrow night, 5 p.m. puck drop down at Ice District. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah.
I think it'll be good. There's always animosity between these two. I honestly think we'll get a really good Oilers win. I feel like we're kind of due for just like a front to back dominant. The Oilers play great, and maybe dominant's not the right word because Toronto's going to push back really, really hard. But like this is a Leafs team that is low key kind of slumping right now as well. They have lost 3 in a row and are 4-6 in their last 10.
Well, I think a good place to kind of start the evaluation is what they did against Vancouver after the McDavid incident.
Yeah.
You have to remember Nurse missed games because of Ryan Reeves, and this is the first time they've played each other since. People were asking earlier, will there be anything that happens? I highly doubt it. The Oilers don't have someone who can go toe-to-toe with Reeves. I think if the game gets out of hand, then, yeah, I think you can maybe see Nurse step up and defend himself after what happened, but I think the Oilers will just try and stick to the game on the ice and beat them on the scoreboard like they did against Vancouver.
I agree with you. Leafs not playing great hockey right now. Should be a good one tomorrow night. Boardsy's going to be live. Pregame with Boardsy, 4 o'clock. Postgame immediately following.
Coombsy.
Oh, always fun when it's a Coombsy night on Oilers Nation
Saturday,
After Dark.
Leafs, Oil, and Brett's joining me. Gonna be good.
That'll be good. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube. That's a wrap on today's edition of the show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday, noon Mountain Time. Enjoy your weekend and oil up.